Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your sources, pull out the key insights, and get you well-informed, fast. Today we're diving into something that, well, it affects all of us. How our own minds can trip us up when it comes to making smart money decisions.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a common thing, isn't it? We often, know what we should be doing financially, but then we find ourselves doing the exact opposite. So this deep dive, we're going to explore why that happens, and maybe more importantly, what we can actually do about it. We're drawing heavily today on lectures by Dr. Michael Fina from Texas Tech University. His research on investor decision-making is really quite groundbreaking.
Yeah, and our goal here is simple. Give you some maybe surprising facts and definitely practical strategies from this emerging science of financial decision-making. We want to help you avoid those emotional pitfalls, and really take control of your financial path. Okay, let's get into it. So Dr. Fina uses this really powerful image. He talks about our brain like a rider sitting on top of an elephant.
Yeah.
The rider, that's a rational brain. The prefrontal cortex, the part that plans, thinks logically. But the elephant, that's our emotional side, the limbic system, instinctive, impulsive. And the thing is, the rider thinks it's in charge.
But often it's the elephant just going where it wants to go, right? The rider's kind of just hanging on.
Exactly.
And that rational part, the rider, it'll even cook up these elaborate reasons for why the elephant did something impulsive, like, selling all your stocks when the market tanks. Even though rationally, it's probably not the best move long term.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This whole struggle really explains why so many people say, yes, I absolutely need to save more for retirement, but then they just don't.
Yeah.
We're going to look at a few specific biases that really highlight this internal battle.
Okay, let's start with one Dr. Fina calls hyperbolic preferences. Or present bias.
The present bias, yeah.
That's the one. And this one seems, it can lead to some really weird situations. Like you might have thousands on a credit card at, say, 20% interest. Right. While at the same time, you're putting money into a CD that's maybe earning 1%.
Yeah.
I mean, do the math. On $5,000, that's like $1,000 in interest paid versus $50 earned.
Yeah.
You're losing $950 a year.
It's wild when you frame it like that.
And Dr. Fina told this story about Walmart selling out of TVs right after tax refunds went out. People using those refund anticipation checks, even with huge fees. Why the rush?
Well, that's present bias in action. It's this powerful tendency our brains have to value immediate rewards way more than larger rewards that are further off in the future. Getting that TV now feels better, more tangible than the abstract benefit of saving that money or paying down debt.
Even if the future benefit is like way bigger.
Exactly. And it's not just, people struggling financially. Even very successful people, CEOs, finance professors, they admit this is tough. It's wired pretty deep.
Okay, so that's the pull towards now. What about the pain of losing something we already have? That feels different. Dr. Fina talked about losing $200 on his first stock trade between breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, I remember that story.
And all he could think about was the White Castle burgers he could have bought. We've all been there, fixating on a loss.
Oh, absolutely. That's loss aversion. And the psychology here is fascinating. The pain of a loss feels like twice as strong as the pleasure of an equivalent gain.
Twice as strong, wow.
Yeah, roughly. So losing $100 feels way worse than gaining $100 feels good. Now, maybe that helped our ancestors, guard their food supplies carefully, but in today's financial world, it's really unhelpful.
How so?
Well, it explains why people panic sell during market crashes. Like in 2008, 2009, prices hit bottom, and that's when loss aversion kicks in hardest. People sell, and then they miss the huge recovery.
Buying high, selling low. The classic mistake.
Exactly. It also explains weird insurance decisions, like buying expensive insurance for a $500 iPad.
Yeah, I've seen those offers.
But maybe not bothering to increase liability coverage on your car insurance, which could protect you from, a potentially massive financial hit. We focus too much on preventing small losses.
That's a great point. We're wired to avoid the immediate sting. Okay, what about reacting to recent events, like the availability bias?
Or the recency effect, yeah. Same idea.
This is where, like, if there's a big tornado nearby, suddenly everyone wants a storm shelter.
Right. Or if there's been a plane crash recently, even though flying is statistically super safe, you might feel a bit more nervous boarding a plane.
Okay, so how does that mess with our investments?
Well, we tend to give way too much importance to things that happened recently or were really dramatic, things that are easy to remember. the available information, and we kind of ignore the long-term probabilities, the boring statistics. So remember 1999, the stock market had been booming for years, like 20–30% return.
Okay, yeah, the dot-com era.
People poured money in, thinking those amazing returns were the new normal. You had books like Dow 36,000 becoming bestsellers.
Right, because the recent past was so good.
Exactly. That recency effect fueled massive optimism.
Ah.
And then, well, we know what happened. This cycle of optimism based on recent gains and pessimism based on recent losses, it makes us terrible market timers. We buy when things feel safe and are already expensive, and we sell when things feel scary and are already cheap.
The exact opposite of what we should do. Ugh, okay, another one. Overconfidence. Dr. Fina mentioned maybe men in particular often think they can beat the market. They talk about their clever stock picks.
Yeah, there's definitely research on that. He even admitted his own struggles trying to outperform the market consistently.
So what's the actual downside of thinking you're smarter than the market?
Well, studies on investment accounts show that overconfident investors, and yes, often men, tend to trade way more often. All that buying and selling.
Racks up fees, bad timing.
Both. Transaction costs add up, and frequent trading often leads to worse timing decisions. Plus, overconfidence feeds into another bad habit, selling your winners too soon to lock in a gain.
Because you feel smart for making any profit.
Kinda, yeah. And then holding on to your losers for too long, hoping they'll come back. I can't sell it at a loss.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Loss aversion again.
Exactly. Loss aversion and overconfidence working together. It's a terrible combo because market momentum is actually a real thing. Often, winners keep winning for a while and losers keep losing. So that strategy is just backwards.
Wow. Okay, so we've got present bias, loss aversion, availability bias, overconfidence. It feels like our brains are really working against us. And then there's just plain old brain fatigue. You mentioned this study with numbers and chocolate cake.
Yeah, that's a classic one. They had people memorize either a 2-digit number or a 7-digit number. Memorizing 7 digits takes more mental effort, right?
Definitely.
Then afterwards, they offered them a choice of snack, fruit salad, or chocolate cake. The people who had exerted more mental effort memorizing the 7 digits, they chose the chocolate cake significantly more often.
So when our rational brain is tired,
The impulsive, emotional brain, the elephant, takes over more easily. Think about complex financial decisions. Buying a car, choosing a mortgage, there's so much information.
you get overloaded.
Totally overloaded. Your rational brain gets exhausted, and suddenly that really bad loan offer or that expensive add-on starts looking appealing because your emotional brain just wants the decision to be over.
That explains why they say sleep on it before a big decision.
It makes perfect neuroeconomic sense. You let your rational brain rest and recharge so it can make a better call later instead of an impulsive one when it's fatigued.
Okay, so we've laid out the problems pretty clearly. Our brains, our elephants, are wired in ways that can really get us into financial trouble. But the good news, you said, is we can fight back. We can learn some tricks.
Absolutely. It's not just about knowing these biases exist. That's the first step, sure. But the real key is using that knowledge to actually change our habits. We need strategies to sort of bypass the elephant or at least guide it better.
And where do we start? You mentioned life cycle theory.
Right. Think of this as giving the rational rider a long-term map. It starts with a basic economic idea, the decreasing marginal utility of money.
Okay, sounds fancy. What's that mean in plain English?
It just means that each extra dollar you get gives you a little bit less happiness than the previous one. Like finding $100 means a lot more to you when you're a broke college student than when you're, say, earning a good salary later in life. That extra $100 still feels good, but maybe not as good.
Makes sense. So how does that help our writer?
Well, if you want to maximize your total happiness over your entire lifetime, the theory suggests you should try to smooth out your spending. Basically, aim to spend roughly the same amount each year, adjusted for inflation.
So borrowing money when you're young and income is low.
And then saving more, essentially lending to your future self when you're in your peak earning years.
Isn't necessarily good or bad. It's just a way to even things out over time.
Exactly. It's a rational way to transfer spending across your own life to get the most overall satisfaction. It gives your writer a logical goal to aim for, countering the elephant's demand for more now.
Okay, I like that framework. Smoothing spending for maximum lifetime happiness. But telling my elephant to wait decades for gratification still feels hard.
Of course. The elephant wants what it wants now, so we need practical tricks. Let's talk about narrow framing. What's that?
Yeah. Dr. Fina mentioned financial planners use this. How does it work?
It's actually quite simple but effective. Instead of your whole paycheck hitting your main checking account where it's super easy to spend,
Yeah, tempting.
what if you set it up so, say, $1,000 automatically goes into a separate savings account first, an account that maybe takes a day or two to transfer money out of?
So you create a little friction, a delay.
Exactly. That small delay gives your rational writer a chance to step in before the elephant just spends the money impulsively. It significantly cuts down on mindless spending. Another trick is making spending more salient, more noticeable.
Like using cash instead of a card.
Precisely. Handing over $200 in actual cash for some shoes feels different. More painful, maybe, than just tapping a card. You feel the trade-off more directly. And of course, just reducing access to easy credit or avoiding places where you know you tend to overspend, those are simple barriers, too.
Little speed bumps for the elephant.
I like it. Okay, what about locking ourselves into good behavior? Commitment devices.
Yes, these are incredibly powerful. Dr. Fina used the example of committing to give a speech the fear of embarrassment makes him prepare. In finance, the absolute best way to get someone saving more for retirement, have them fill out the form to increase their contribution and mail it right there during the meeting.
Get it done before they can change their mind.
Exactly. Once it's set up, people rarely change it back. They adjust to the slightly smaller paycheck surprisingly quickly. It becomes sticky. Automatic withdrawals for savings, for debt payments, same idea. It bypasses the daily decision-making, bypasses the elephant's temptations.
Takes the willpower out of it. Totally. And the ultimate version is using defaults. Like when governments make retirement savings opt out instead of opt in, participation skyrockets. Target date funds and retirement accounts are another great example. They automate the diversification and rebalancing for you. Set it and forget it.
Okay, automation and defaults sound key. Now, investing itself feels complicated and scary for a lot of people, but the sources said the best investments are often the easiest. How can that be true?
It sounds counterintuitive, right? But it ties into something called market efficiency. Basically, the idea is that all the information out there, company news, economic data, everything, is already baked into current stock prices almost instantly.
So trying to find some secret edge or pick the next hot stock is really hard.
Extremely hard, even for highly paid professionals with tons of resources. Most actively managed funds don't consistently beat the market average over the long run, especially after fees. But that's actually great news for you, the individual investor.
How so?
It means you don't need to be a stock-picking genius. The most effective strategy for most people is simply to own the entire market. You do that through low-cost, broadly diversified index funds or ETFs, exchange-traded funds. They just track the market average. Simple, cheap, and historically very effective. Don't overcomplicate it.
Wow. Keep it simple, own the market. That's actually a relief.
Yeah.
Okay, last big challenge. Our emotions during market swings. Our risk tolerance goes up when things are good, down when they crash.
Leading to that buy high, sell low pattern again.
Yeah.
So how do we stop ourselves from doing that?
This is where another commitment device comes in. The investment policy statement, or IPS.
An IPS, what is that exactly? It's basically a written document you create for yourself, ideally with an advisor if you use one, but you can do it yourself. You write it down when you are calm and rational before any market chaos happens. You define your long-term financial goals, you honestly assess how much risk you're truly comfortable with, and you decide on your target asset allocation, like what percentage in stocks, what percentage in bonds.
Okay, so you make the plan when you're thinking clearly.
Precisely. Then, when the market inevitably goes crazy, either way up or way down, you don't react emotionally. You pull out your IPS. If the market has crashed and your stock allocation is now lower than your target, your IPS tells you, rebalance, buy more stocks.
Even though it feels terrifying.
Even though your elephant is screaming, sell! And if the market soared and stocks are now too high a percentage, the IPS says, rebalance, sell some stocks, buy bonds, lock in some gains. It takes the emotion, the shifting risk tolerance, right out of the equation. You stick to the plan you made when you were rational.
That sounds incredibly useful. A pre-commitment to rational behavior.
It really is. So wrapping up, we've seen today that our brains have these, built-in glitches when it comes to money. These biases are powerful. Present bias, loss aversion, availability, overconfidence, fatigue, they can all lead us astray. The key takeaway is that by understanding them and by using these practical strategies, things like narrow framing, automation, simplicity in investing, and the commitment of an IPS, you absolutely can outsmart your financial elephant.
Yeah, you really can gain control. And it seems like the experts we looked at really stress that just knowing this stuff isn't enough.
Right.
It's about applying it, actually changing your habits.
Absolutely. Knowledge alone doesn't guarantee success. Dr. Fina used examples like, you can find overweight nutrition professors or divorced marriage counselors. Knowing isn't always doing.
Right. So, the final thought for you, our listener, is this. Now that you have this knowledge, what's one concrete step, just one thing you'll actually do this week? What action will you take to make sure these insights don't just stay theoretical, but actually help you steer your own financial elephant toward a better future?